Well, howdy. All right. Our learning goal today. I can use a TI-84 calculator to convert fractions, decimals, percents. We're going to also do some converting on some exponents, or we're going to expand our exponents. We're going to do all kinds of fun things today. All right. So, with that being said, I hope you have your orange calculator instructions out and available. And you need the notes, more rational number conversion. So here are my notes, more rational number conversion. And as I told you before, I use a white calculator instructions because the orange one just looks really bad on the camera, okay? So let's see what we got going on here. So I'm going to do a little reminding, all right, and then we're going to get into some other stuff. Fraction to decimal, 1/8. What do we do? Oh, let's turn it on. Oh, yes, this lovely thing needs to be turned on by pushing the on button. And then remember I asked you to clear the RAM before you start and after you start. So I'm going to hit second plus 7, 1, 2. If you say it out loud as you do it, it becomes habit, okay, and it's easier to do. So then we hit the clear button to get off there and get a clean screen. We are going to do a fraction to a decimal, and to do a fraction to a decimal, all we do on your little notes, which you should be able to look up right here, fraction to decimal, I'm going to enter the numerator, which is 1, hit the divide by sign. I'm sorry you're not looking at what I'm doing because I don't have this very well centered, and then enter the denominator, which is 8, and I can just hit enter, and I get 0.125. Okay, I'm going to move this over just a little bit. So 0.125 is the answer. All right, next I got a decimal to a fraction, so I'm going to, and if you need to refer to your notes, please do. Decimal to fraction is right down here. Enter the decimal number, 0.825. Then I'm going to hit the math key, which is the black key, right here. And then I'm going to press enter, enter, so the enter key twice. And I get 33/40. Isn't that beautiful? It would have taken you forever to figure that out on your own, even you smart whippersnappers, okay? Or those who think they're smart anyways. All right? Here we go, mixed number fraction to a decimal. Remember, when you have a mixed number, you have a whole number and you have some parts. We're always just going to write down the whole number. This says 25 7/8. Then you just treat it like a fraction to a decimal. 7, I'm sorry, here we go, divided by 8. I hit enter, and I get 0.875, and I'm going to add that after my whole number. Okay, a mixed number decimal to a fraction. Okay, so I got 1.6. All right, I'm going to write the whole number down again. And then I'm just going to deal with the parts, so I'm just dealing with a decimal and change it to a fraction. 0.6, math, enter, enter, and I get 3/5. Okay. So that's what we've done on the previous. We've also done this kind of a situation, but I wanted to review it again. Fraction to a repeating decimal. We're going to put in our numerator, 1, divided by 3, and hit enter. And remember I said the calculator will only hold 10 digits, but if you see more than 4 digits out, I'm telling you, it's just a repeater, or it's going to be an irrational number, and we're going to talk about those later. But if it's repeating, it is a rational number. So we're just going to put equals 0.3, and with a line over it means it goes 0.333333, and we could be here all day, and I could still be saying threes. All right? Then we've got 77 divided by 300. I'm going to hit enter, and we've got 0.2. Now, what's repeating here? Hopefully you said to yourself the 6, and because you remembered that this is going to cut it off at 10 digits, okay? And it's also going to use 4 or less just read it rest. 5 or more, change the score. So that's where that 7 comes from. So we're going to put 0.25. Now, does the 2 or the 5 repeat? No, just the 6. So all you want to do is put your line over the 6. Okay? Repeating decimal to a fraction. Now, this is a little more difficult to do. It's not really that difficult, but you have to know how to handle the calculator, okay? And that's why we're practicing all this. I don't care if you know that that's 2/3. Great, okay? But there are going to be situations where you're not going to know what it is. Some of you, okay? So some of you are not going to know what any of it is, all right? Right now, some of you know that 0.6 repeating is 2/3. I don't want you just to write 2/3. I want you to practice putting these in the calculator. That's the whole idea. So, when you have a repeater, you have to do 0.66666666666. If you come over to where it says calculate right here, okay? About 3/4 of the way across the screen. You can go all the way, it doesn't hurt. I'm just saving myself some 6s because I could go all the way to there. It would continue to take 6s. This thing will go off the screen even. So I am going to go back. By the way, if I want to get rid of that 6, I can hit this and I can push delete. I can arrow and highlight it and press delete. Okay, so I'm going to arrow and highlight it and press delete. So I'm about 3/4 of the way across the screen. Okay, I want to convert it to a fraction. We're going to handle it just like the other decimals. Math, I want to change it to a fraction, so enter, enter, and guess what I get? 2/3. Okay? The problem is, if I had just put in 0.6 and hit math, enter, enter, I'm going to get a completely different answer. So you have to treat it as a repeating decimal and put it 3/4 away across the screen, and it will treat it like a repeating decimal, and it will definitely give you the correct answer. Okay? This one, 0.125, is the 1 repeating? Is the 2 repeating? Is the 5 repeating? Do you know? I hope you realize that because the line is across 1, 2, and 5, all of those numbers are repeating. So we're going to do 1, 2, 5, 1, 2, 5, 1, 2, 5, about 3/4 of the way across the screen again. Then we're going to hit math, enter, enter, and now we have 125 over 999, and that is your fraction. Okay? All right. All right, percent to decimal, we practiced this before. I hope you have it written on your orange sheet down here. Percent to decimal, do we divide by 100 or do we multiply by 100? Do you remember? I hope you are looking at your sheet or you remember that we divide by 100. A percent is always going to look bigger than a decimal. Okay, even a percent that has a decimal in it. All right, so here we go. 96%, we drop the percent sign. We write 96. We divide by 100, and we get 0.96. Okay, all right. And some of you are going to remember Dr. Pepper, percent to decimal. You moved your decimal point 2 times to the left. Okay. But what are you going to do here? The first thing I'm going to do is I have to change that to a decimal. Okay? There's no way that I can do anything with this. So I'm going to write 89. That's my whole number. And then I'm going to put in 2 divided by 3 and hit enter. I get a repeater. I get a 6 repeating, so I'm going to put 0.6 repeating. Now, do I have a decimal now? No, I haven't divided by 100. So I have to put my percent sign on there still. It's still a percent. So now I am going to divide that number by 100. So I'm going to come over here, write in 89.6666666 till I get about 3/4 of the way across with that 6 till that calculates. Then I'm going to hit divide by 100, hit enter, and look what I get. I get 0.896 repeating. The 6 repeats. Now, you could write that as, now, let's leave it there, okay? Just like that. All right, now we have 45.35%, okay? Fairly simple. We just drop the percent sign, but we still have to divide by 100. You can't just take the percent away and make, oh, that's a decimal, because that's not the decimal equivalent to 45 and 35/100%. Okay? So 45.35 divided by 100, and I get 0.4535. Okay? All right, we've got a few more things to go over. I'm trying to watch my time. I'm sorry. Decimal to percent. Okay, so now we're going to do what? The opposite of dividing by 100 is, hope you remember, multiplying by 100. So we're going to multiply by 100 with these, okay? Now, we need to talk about this sign. This calculator, you have to use the subtract key when it's subtract or a minus, and the negative key when it's a negative. And when it's out front of a number, and we're going to stress this again a little later, it's a negative. You do not use the subtract key. It will not like you at all, okay? When it's between numbers, we use the subtract key. But right now, this is the only number we have. In other words, if I was to say 5 subtract 4, we would use the minus key, which is an operations key over here. When we have a number that is a negative sign out in front of a number, then we're going to use this key down here in the parentheses. So I have negative 4.2, and I want to change it to a percent. So I'm going to hit times 100 and hit enter. Look at that. Negative 420. And remember, to be a percent, you have to have a percent sign on it. Okay? Here's another situation. It's an exponent. It's squared, or to the power of 2. The easiest way to do the power of 2, you have a key on this calculator that says x squared, or x to the power of 2. Okay? It will square whatever number you put in. This also has parentheses around it, so we want to make sure and use the parentheses, which here's open parentheses, so we're going to press that. Then we're going to press 0.25. We are going to close parentheses. And then we're going to press x squared. And do you see how it squared my 0.25? Okay? So I want to change this to a percent. All I have to do, times 100. And there I am, 6.25. Remember, I have to add a percent sign. If I just wanted to find out what 0.25 squared was, open parentheses, 0.25, close parentheses, hit the squared key, hit enter, and it calculates it for me. And do you see, by using Dr. Pepper going the other way from decimal to percent, I moved it 2 times to the right. Okay? All right, converting with pi. This is the pi sign. You have always been using 3.14 or 22/7 to calculate with pi. The problem with that is this. It is an approximation. Pi is an irrational number. We're going to be talking about irrational numbers in the next week or so. And I think it's next week we actually do that. And irrational numbers go on and on and on and on forever. They're irritable, but they don't have any repeating. They don't repeat numbers. In other words, 0.6666666 or 2/3 is not a rational number. An irrational number you cannot change into a fraction. You have a pi button on this calculator. It's blue. It's right here. Okay. So remember, I said whenever you want to do something with blue on this calculator, you need to use the second key. Okay? So what we're going to do, this says multiply 4 times pi. All right? So what I'm going to do is do 4. And because it is a symbol, I can either do it second and pi, and that means multiply, and hit enter. Or I could have done 4 times second and pi, and I get the same answer. Okay? Now, this number, remember the calculator only goes out 10 digits. So this number goes on and on and on, and it's not going to repeat. But what we're going to do is we're going to say this is approximately, and that is the approximate symbol, okay, 12 point, and we're going to round to the nearest tenth. Well, let's go out to the nearest hundredth. The tenth, well, let's just do tenths for now. That's 5, so this is 6, so 6 or more, change the score. So 5, 6 makes 6. So what we're really saying is it's approximately 12.6. Okay? Now we're going to divide with pi. 20, and I hit the divide by sign here. Don't just put 20 pi because that'll multiply. Second, pi, hit enter. I'm going to round to the nearest tenth, which is the first digit after the decimal. So this 6 changes this to a 4. So I've got approximately 6.4. Okay? Here we go. We've got second pi, and we want to square it. So I'm going to hit the squared key. Okay? Now, with this I can say divided by 3 and hit enter. And I'm going to round to the nearest tenth again. So instead of 3.289, blah, 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 I'm going to say this is approximately 3.3. Okay? Here's some other conversions you're going to see in 8th grade math, and this is multiplying times the square root. Okay? So all you do is put it in as 5, and you could put the times sign, but you don't have to. Second, here's your squaring. To undo a square, use a square root. So that is second key, and then you get the square root symbol, 49. Now I'm underneath the square root symbol. I need to get out of there. That's why it's arrowing underneath there. So I'm going to arrow out, okay? And then I'm going to hit enter, and I get is equal to 35. Now, if you knew that the square root of 49 was 7, well, 7 times 5 is 35, so it makes sense. Okay? Anyways, on your practice today, there's only one thing that I need you to go get your practice because I need to tell you about it. Pause me. Okay, so now that you've started me up, every single one of these conversions has been handled on here somewhere. Okay? You have this to help you. So if this is a decimal already, I would just convert it out and write it here. If this is a decimal already, write it here. Decimal already, write it here. This is a percent, so write it here. This is a decimal. Do you see what I'm saying? So you have one answer no matter what. Okay? We need to talk about what a consecutive integer is. All right? Let's first talk about integers. Everybody always tells me negative numbers. Well, that's not true. Okay? Consecutive integers are negative numbers, positive whole numbers, and 0. So negative and positive whole numbers, including 0. That's what an integer is. The word consecutive means one after another. And I'm going to do one of these rows for you just so you can see. I'm going to do this one right here. So as a decimal, it is 0.583 with a line on top. Okay? And it's easiest to decide what something's between as a decimal. So consecutive integers. Have I made it to 1 yet? No, because it has no whole number. So this is between 0 and 1. It's that simple. Okay? So obviously you need to look and see as a decimal what your number is represented as, and then decide what two whole numbers, and it can be negative whole numbers, it could be 0 and -1, it could be -1 and -2. So in consecutive integers, what two whole numbers, negative, positive, and 0, is the decimal in between. So these two are the ones that are connected. You're going to use this number to get here. I'm going to change this to a percent because some of you, I'm just going to show you what your line should look like. So I want 0.58. Oh, that's a repeater. 3333333. Now, how do I change a decimal to a percent? Do you remember how to change a decimal to a percent? Am I multiplying by 100 or dividing by 100? Multiplying by 100. And there we go. So it's 58.3 repeating. So I would write 58.3 with a line over it. And then make sure you put that percent key, because that percent key is going to make a difference. Okay? Now I want to take that decimal and change it back to a fraction. So 0.58333333. Okay? 3/4 of the way across. Then I'm going to hit math. I'm going to hit enter, enter, and I get 7/12. Okay? So remember that you have today and tomorrow to finish the work. Okay? We're okay. You still have that paper from Friday, some of you. All right? Don't worry. Be happy. We'll get through this, okay? And have a great day. By the way, if you've listened to me all the way through and you write the word blue on the top of your paper, I will add 10 points to your lowest grade this week.